Welcome to the Self-Publishing School podcast. This is the podcast to listen to if you're an aspiring writer or an author who wants to be more successful. On this show, you'll learn how to write and launch a book successfully, all from the top authors and people just like you who are doing it at the highest level. I'm your host, Chandler Bolt, the founder of Self-Publishing School, the author of the book called Published, and the CEO of selfpublishing.com. For free training on how to publish a book that sells 10,000 copies, go to selfpublishing.com/free training. Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Nancy Hillis. Nancy is an abstract artist. She's a speaker and author of the best-selling, award-winning self-help book. It's called The Artist's Journey, Bold Strokes to Spark Creativity. And her newest book is called The Adjacent Possible. I just checked this morning, still number one on the bestseller charts about a year later. It's The Adjacent Possible, Evolve Your Art from Blank Canvas to Prolific Artist. Nancy has been part of our accelerator program. She's been attendee at Author Advantage Live. She's been a self-publishing school student. It's been fun to be a small part of her journey over the years and just see her continue to grow and the business continue to grow. We've got a really special video that you check out. We'll link it up along with this interview, kind of a cool 3-minute cinematography type video that's really cool about Nancy's journey. So you might want to check that out as well. Nancy, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Chandler. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I want to dive in. But first, I want to make a note. So if you're listening to on the podcast, you're watching this video on YouTube, this is coming out in the lead up to Author Advantage Live this year. If you haven't already, grab your ticket for Author Advantage Live before prices go up. You can get a ticket at authoradvantagelive.com. Prices are going up kind of leading up to the event. And it's going to be amazing. It's a 3-day event about helping you sell more books, launch your author career, grow as an author, maybe even get your first book published. It'll be really helpful. We'll touch on that a little bit and hear about Nancy's experience with that later in the episode. But grab a ticket at authoradvantagelive.com. So let's start here, Nancy. Why did you decide to write your first book? And how and when did you find self-publishing school in that process?
Well, Chandler, I wanted to write a book for years. I mean, I was kind of like 30 or something, and I was sitting in my psychiatry office, and I wanted to write a book. But this was before you were out there. This was before the whole self-publishing movement was happening, and you had to go through the New York publishing houses. And I kind of started, but then stalled out. And so it was like this big dream that was living inside of me for years. And then time marches on, and back in about 2015, I was already starting to teach live abstract painting workshops. And I was thinking about beginning an online course, which I did. So that kind of got me online more. And that dream reappeared, and I found you. It might have been on a YouTube video. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I was digging around for publishing books, but I found you, and what you were doing with self-publishing school really spoke to me. And I felt like what you said is that you could speak this book into existence. And there was something about the way you said that made me believe I could finally write a book.
And so did you join before you started the book? Had you already gotten some words on the page, or were in the process with that?
I joined before I started the book.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay.
That's a great place and a great time. And so how long after you joined was the book published?
Okay. So I believe I joined in 2015, 16, somewhere in there, really early. And so I, started taking in the material, but it took a while for me to get published and to write the book and then get published, because I was building this online course, The Artist's Journey. But I learned so much in that mind mapping and the things you taught that actually translated into creating the course. So I then started writing in 2017, and then I think it was ready in 2018, but being somewhat of a perfectionist, I had to keep working on it and editing and bringing more into it. And I think it actually made it deeper. So I published in January 2019.
That's great. And then what did for people who are either thinking about writing a book and then creating an online course, or maybe they already have an online course and they're thinking about turning that into a book to use, and we'll talk about this later, but how you've used your book to grow your course business and your business as a whole. What were lessons that you learned from that process? And going back, do you have a recommendation on which one you think people should do first?
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting question because I did do it differently than many people. That is, I built the course then I wrote the book and then published. And the good thing about that, Chandler, was that I was building this group of people, artists, and who knew my work, so that when I got the book published, I had an audience ready to jump into that book, and it actually fueled the content of the book as well. So that was very interesting to do it that way. But I can also see where the other way is also powerful, because when you write a book, that brings in so many people that you probably wouldn't ever find, through getting it up on Amazon, getting it out into the world, on the search engines, essentially. So it's brought in
Yeah.
people to our higher level master classes.
That's cool. That's great.
Mhm.
Now, what did you uh, you talked about working with people via the course and using that to make the book better. Any tips for people who aren't, maybe they already have an existing course or program they work with people, and how they can distill those lessons learned to help make the actual book better?
Yes. And I think what you can do, if you already have a course and you've got your group in there, you can have these conversations with them and find out what is most meaningful to them. What kinds of problems are they needing to be solved? What are they interested in? And that can also feed into what you're writing about. And then it's a win-win for you and for your audience.
Cool. That's great. What was the toughest part about writing the book and getting ready for publishing, and maybe the biggest lessons learned or tips that you would have for folks?
Well, I think that for me, the hardest part is marketing. And I think that's the case for any, like the courses, the books, whatever. Um, because I was trained as a psychiatrist and I didn't have any background in business or anything like that. So I feel like I learned so much through your courses about how to market the book. Um, and it's important to get on that early and just keep tracking along and doing that. And also what you taught about the launch team, building a launch team, was so crucial.
So let's use that as kind of a transition to talk about the launch and selling more books and all that stuff. So how did you launch the book? And obviously, it sounds like the launch team was a big part of that. But what were maybe the top two or three things you did to launch the book?
Well, in that very first book, which did it very well, and it sold over 10,000 copies, The Artist's Journey, I followed along what you said to do, which is, begin to build up interest before you publish the book. And so we ended up building up interest, talking about it, sneak peeks, that sort of thing, getting excitement happening. We did a pre-order. This is the first time I ever published. We just did that. That built up excitement. We did the ebook that was free at first and then 99 cents after that. And then we gradually built that up. That brought in new audiences. So I think if you track along and follow what Chandler teaches, that can really help. Now we did another interesting thing, Chandler, on the Adjacent Possible. So almost 2 years later, the Adjacent Possible came out, and it hasn't even been a year out there. We did something very unusual. We were very busy getting our daughter to college, so we didn't have a lot of time to launch. But what we did is, this is a nonfiction book, but the first chapter is a story. It's a fiction story in the first chapter that kind of illustrates what this book is about. And I gave a book reading, and people love that. Then after hearing the book reading, I read the first chapter, they wanted the book. And the other piece that we did is we're very interested in helping with food insecurity. This is a big mission that I have and that our daughter started before she left for college. We have a community fridge where it's a give take refrigerator. We put food in there. People come and get food. And we have people every day doing this. So what we did is we said for the first 30 days, all the proceeds from the ebook is going to support the community fridge. And so that was very meaningful and powerful for us.
That's awesome. And I love that. Maybe that'll inspire some people who are listening to use their royalties for the first month or as part of launch for a good cause. It can be a win-win where you're helping your community. And then you can also plug in with local organizations who will actually help the book be more successful and help you sell more copies of the book. So it's kind of a win-win in that way. You talked about the book reading and that being something that sparked a lot of interest. How did that work? Where was it? How did people get there? And then how did you kind of segue from that to selling more copies of the book?
Well, what we did is right here in my studio, my husband, Bruce Sawhill, and I came on and just talked about the book. He's been very involved in my business. And then he walked off and then I said, I'm going to give a reading. And so I read from right here in my studio, that first chapter. And then I told people that mission for the book about the food insecurity and helping with that, and to get a copy of the book if they love that reading. And they did. And I got many, many comments from that.
That's awesome. And talk to me more about the launch team. How did you run the launch team for the artist journey? It sounds like that was really helpful and moved books. And so how did you do it? And any tips for folks who are thinking about running a launch team for their books?
Yes. So what I did, Chandler, is I invited people in my courses. I also on my blog said, if you'd like to be on the launch team, let us know, write to us. So we've got many people on the launch team, probably 30 or something like that. And then I set up a Facebook group for the launch team so I could stay in contact there. I also would email them saying, hey, this is what's happening. This is, what you get, and this is what we would love for you to do, which is to, read the book, leave a review, and let us know what you think, share it with others, get it out there. And so that helped us because we got a lot of reviews right off the bat. We got the word out there through the launch team, and it really supports you, the author, to have this launch team. And we also did the thing that you describe about the review sweeper, Chandler. We also put that out there as well to get reviews from people who have read the book. So that helped a lot.
That's great. And for those who aren't familiar with either one of these concepts, you can find out about Launch Team. This is in chapter 15 of my new book published. There's a whole chapter around running a launch team with your book. It's page 111, so 111. Lucky page there. That's where exactly where it starts on the launch team concept. And then you talked about the review sweeper. I'm trying to remember which chapter this is, but I know I've got, there we go. Chapter 20 gives templates for the review sweeper. There's really helpful templates, and that'll help you get dozens, if not hundreds more reviews over the course of the life of your book. And I think it's kind of a secret weapon for getting reviews. Now, I want to come back to, you talked 10,000 copies sold. And I want to come back to some other things you need to sell copies. But first, while we're on the subject of reviews, so as of the recording of this episode, you've got 475 reviews on the author's journey. How'd you do it? Anything that worked well? And I mean, obviously you already mentioned the review sweeper, but anything else that worked well, and any tips that you would share for people looking to get more reviews on your book, on their book?
Yes. So that was over time because we've had it published since 2019, but we do the review sweeper. I also get in there if somebody, writes something really nice, I'll interact with them in email and then eventually ask if they would share that because it'd be so powerful. I talk about, it's kind of like David and Goliath. We're like the David, and the New York Publishing is the Goliath, and it makes a big difference. I think if people understand why this is important, that can help. I've also invited people to leave a little video or picture of them holding the book. And so, any way we can over time, we just ask for these reviews because they're so important.
Hey, Chandler Bolt here. I hope you're loving this episode so far. It's time to go from inspiration to implementation. All right, so if you've learned something, we want to help you implement what you've learned with your book. So what I want you to do right now is go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a publishing consultation with one of the experts on my team. We'll talk about your goals for your book, your dreams, your challenges, your next steps, and we'll start putting together a plan. All right, so go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a call with the team. Let's see how we can help with your book. It's time to implement. Now, let's talk about sales of that, the first book. So you mentioned the author's journey, sold over 10,000 copies in so far, which is just incredible. That's kind of a fun. That's the benchmark on the title of the new book, right? Published from Proven Path to 10,000 copies sold. So I think, Nancy, you're living proof of that. What were the 2 or 3 things that sold the most copies of that book so far?
Wow. Let's see. On that book, I think it was, first of all, the buzz, of saying, well, that was the first book I ever published. So that's kind of a big deal. So I think just, kind of building it up beforehand of, revealing the cover. When the book came in, unboxing the book, Oh, we had a party here where I brought in some friends, including my filmmaker, and we had a book party over here, and we showed those little videos. And I also made a book trailer. And then I put pins on Pinterest, with little things from the book, a long pin that shows just the few things that make a 90% of the difference in your art. And so I think it's just this ongoing thing, I think, to keep it out there in front of people over time is very important.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let's talk the business side of things. So what are ways that the book has helped you sell more courses or helped you grow your business? And you don't have to share this if you don't feel comfortable, but if you were to ballpark, any idea on approximately how much revenue has come in from the books for your business, or kind of on a whole, and just how has that worked for using the book to grow your business?
Yes. So I believe the book has been a big part, especially the Adjacent Possible more recently, in driving artists to our masterclass, which is our highest level program. And so I think that has gotten us, moves us further into 6 figures. And again, that's bringing in people without running ads to webinars and that sort of thing. So they're literally finding us from the book. So I think that we also, derive revenue on the books themselves as well. And so, that would be probably the upper 5 figures every year. Now we've got 3 books and we're about to publish our 4th book.
That's awesome.
So, and we've got an audio book on the first book that too brings in revenue. So it's been a big impact for us.
That's great. How does someone go from reading your book to doing business with you? What does that process look like, and how do you make that kind of as easy as possible for them?
Yes. So what happens is, so they read the book, and in the front of the book and at the end of the book too, more recently, we have an opt-in. So we have a book resource library, and in that book resource library are additional, video trainings. There's a podcast on one of them. We've got a new quiz coming for the 4th book. So different things that they can opt into, and then they come into our ecology and get on our list, and then we have a relationship with them. Sometimes people just write to me directly and say, I read your book, wow, and then we start to write back and forth. So that brings people in to what we're offering here.
That's awesome. And guys, I'd encourage you to check out Nancy's book, The Author's Journey, or even The Adjacent Possible, and go, you can click the look inside feature and see how she does it. and see, see the lead magnets and stuff that she mentioned. You can also check out the first couple pages on my book Published, and kind of see how this works, where there's an audiobook giveaway, there's a video giveaway, and trying to add value right from the start, which turns readers into subscribers and paying customers. Yeah, check it out. Okay, so if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see it. Do you have one of those opt-in pages in this book? Can you show that real quick?
So the artist's journey, and then if you come in here, it's actually very minimal on this.
Cool. Yeah.
It helps. It gives them info to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite minimal.
Cool.
And that brings them in. On the adjacent possible, I have, let's see what I've got here on that one. It's similar. It's pretty minimal, but it has brought people in.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'll kind of a podcast interview meets quasi coaching call. One thing I'd do if you ever make changes or edits to the content of your book is make it a little bit more prominent. And I would make it kind of a full page thing so that people don't just flip past it, because I might flip past that thinking that it's table contents or acknowledgements page or whatever. But if I see a big image, then I say, oh, hold up, this looks like an audiobook. I'm interested. Let me do the hold up. This looks like video and something that I'll be interested in. And that might help increase that readers to subscribers rate for your book.
Yes.
Cool. Well, let's talk about, so you've been in our accelerator program for years. Why did you decide to join the accelerator program? I'm assuming was that at the first Author Advantage Live?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. So I've been in there from the beginning. Yeah. I loved it when you offered that, because it's the possibility to go deeper, get more support especially, if you're building a business and you're trying to understand how this all weaves in together. So getting that coaching has been huge, different perspectives from the various people on your team, Chandler, as well as the trainings that you all have given us over these. I've been in here, this is my third year in here, the different trainings and all of that. So cool. It's been really big. I've learned so much in that.
That's awesome. Now, walk me back to the first year, if you can remember, your first year in the accelerator program. What was most helpful, and what were maybe one or two of your biggest wins in that first year that you're most proud of?
I think that the first year it was getting the support I would be on these calls and getting the support, and Bruce would be on there with me to try to keep going forward with the marketing, because again, that's been the hardest thing for me. And so that really gave me more confidence to try different things in terms of marketing the book, going on Facebook Live, different things like that. And so really that was very helpful that first year.
That's great. What were one or two of your biggest wins? Yeah, in that first year, would you say?
Well, let's see. One of them was that, a big one, and it actually was right as I was moving into this, was I did a Facebook Live because I actually wanted to be on the stage at Author Advantage Live and speak. Mm-hmm. And part of that was to go live, to get support, to get interaction. And I did. I got massive interaction and ended up being one of those speakers at your Author Advantage Live.
Yeah.
Which
that
then
was a
led
great
to
talk. Yeah.
That speaking, that then led to feeling more confident to ultimately give this masterclass where I go live every week and guide people. So that, it all kind of connects, right?
That's awesome. What you've continued to work with us for years in the accelerator program. Why have you continued to stay in the accelerator program, and what has been most helpful or the biggest wins that you've experienced from the kind of the most recent years in the accelerator?
Well, I think most helpful is just the massive support on so many levels, everything from those workshops that come up and I love to learn. I have to keep learning. There's so much to know as things evolve. So staying on top of what's happening, getting that support from your team, that's a big one. Helping to stay on the game of staying confident to keep, on it and all of that. And I think that actually also led to the, how the Adjacent Possible did. That third book actually did even better than the Artist Journey, which was surprising because we didn't do as much in terms of marketing, but we did a few things that made a big difference. And I think the other thing is the calls this past year, the particular coaching calls have been just very incisive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you working with Brett? Or
Yeah.
Who's your coach?
Brett.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. We've got a lot of good ones. Brett's a good one.
You sure do.
He's a really good one. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes.
Shout out to Brett. Now, last couple questions I have. What would be your advice for someone who's thinking about attending Author Advantage Live, and maybe one reason why they should go, or what you've gotten out of that conference each year?
I would definitely go. I've gone every single year. It gives, well, first of all, it's very exciting and inspiring. And so, it gets you excited and inspired to step up to the plate and get in there and start writing your book and all the pieces that go along with that. The support is there. And then, you'll fall in love with it. And like me, you'll want to be in this accelerator because it is amazing.
That's awesome. Well, guys, if you want to attend Author Advantage Live alongside Nancy this year, go to authoradvantagelive.com, grab a ticket. We are making these really affordable. We make them really affordable this year, or every year, but we're making them especially affordable this year. This may or may not be the last year that we do virtual. I saw your face. I thought you might say the last year of AL. But I'm hoping to be back in person next year. But the virtual is a big it's a big benefit to attendees, because you got to block off the 3 days, but you save thousands of dollars on travel and hotel cost and all that stuff. And it truly is, it's an amazing virtual experience. This is not just like a Zoom meeting or whatever. We make it interactive, we make it fun. And so if you want to grab a ticket, don't wait, go ahead and grab a ticket right now. authoradvantagelive.com. Check it out. We'd love to see you at the event this year, or if you're seeing this after the fact, just go ahead and grab a ticket for next year. And who knows, maybe we'll be back in person. Maybe we'll see you there. So Nancy, what would be your parting piece of advice, knowing what you know now, for the Nancy of years ago, before your first book, and all the other Nancys out there who are thinking about writing and publishing their first book?
I would say, listen to your dream. These creative impulses live inside of you, and there's a reason why you have this dream to write your book. It's one of the most profound experiences to write your book, to get it out into the world, and to literally hold it in your hands. It's a tangible thing. And so what I'd say to you is, there's a reason why you have this dream, and you must say yes to it. Finally, now's the time.
That's awesome. Nancy, this has been great. Where can people go to find out more about you, your books, your courses, and all the awesome things that you're up to?
They can go to nancyhillis.com.
nancyhillis.com. Check it out. And you can grab a copy of her book, The Artist's Journey, or even her newest book, The Adjacent Possible. Nancy, you're amazing. Can't wait to see you at Author Advantage Live. Talk to you real soon.
Thank you so much, Chandler. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Self-Publishing School podcast. I know there's so many places that you can be spending your time. There's other podcasts that you could be listening to, YouTube channels that you could be watching. So thank you so much. It means the world. Now, I want you to do 3 things right now if you found this episode helpful. All right, number 1, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a YouTube channel. It's a companion channel to this podcast. All the video versions of the episode are on the YouTube channel. So number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number 2, if you're listening to this podcast wherever, whether this is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, number 2, I want you to subscribe to this podcast right now so you don't miss a future episode. And then number 3, this is probably the most important, leave a review on the podcast. All right, reviews are super important and help the podcast get discovered by other people. So number 3, leave a review on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're on the fence about scheduling a publishing consultation call with my team, maybe you're not quite ready for that, I've got some free training that I think will be really helpful for you. All right, all you have to do is go to register to sign up. Go to selfpublishing.com/free training. When you do, you're also going to get a free digital copy of my new book, Published. And on that training, you're going to learn the next steps, so how to implement with your book. So how to write, how to publish, how to launch successfully. So go to register right now at selfpublishing.com/free training. I'll see you there.